Have we talked to YouTube about this at all?
I haven't, no.
No, and my experience is they're going to say so. I mean, they just, I mean, they just changed something. It's not wrong. They just changed it, didn't tell us, and now they've documented it this way. They're not going to change it back.
Well, but what's to say they just don't change something tomorrow and change something tomorrow and change something the next day and change.
So we,
Well, I mean that's a fair point. I think the difference now is they made this API public. We were using it when it was not public, and they made the change when they made it public.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they now they have to not fiddle with it basically because we were using a pre-release version of it. So I guess if you're on the bleeding edge, you might get cut, and that's what happened to us.
Okay.
I'm not seeing it. Why am I not seeing it?
The chat.
So let's talk about our choices here for a second. So our choices are, we've already put 101 in the queue to be reviewed. If we take that off and put 102 in, we go to the back of the line, which would cost us 2 days in the queue, effectively. Now the flip side of that is, it doesn't look like 101 is going to get reviewed by tomorrow, at which point they shut down by all accounts. So what we could do is this. We could cancel 101, put 102 in it, and then apply for a expedited review, and which we may or may not get, but we can try it. So an expedited review is what Rob Partington would push us towards, which is you say you've got exceptional circumstances and you ask them to review your app soon, and all we can do is try. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Do we have any mechanism to do that? Short of the App Store
IPA file. If you want to.
or the expanded beta program or whatever that is.
I'm not 100% sure whether if we give them a bill externally, whether the app will run. If they bought it, whether the app will run properly. Do you see what I mean? As in, they may have bought it, but even though they bought it, to us, it doesn't look like they've bought it.
Okay, so what the only mechanism we have for getting apps to people is through the beta process, right?
Yeah,
Test flight.
not to all the downloaders, but yes.
But to 1,000 people on test flight, we could put 1,000 people on test flight, right?
Yeah. There's about
Yeah, we're allowed to put it.
a little about 300 now.
On test flight.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just gonna go through a 2-week period of people downloading it and there being, what is it, a 15% chance? I mean, have we seen any stats that give us tell us how frequently?
5%.
But
5% of people have this issue.
5% of the people have the issue, and of those, some percentage of those 5% can do the workaround and it works, right?
That's correct.
Okay,
it's been working out sort of 50-50, I think.
50 it works and 50 it doesn't.
Yeah.
The workaround? Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's good it's working.
So,
Chat's just slow on yours.
okay, so we have 5% of the people that are affected of that, about half of the people can do the workaround. The problem is we're getting feedback, of course, from the people who are having the crash issue. And so we just gotta figure out how, and we gotta figure out how to get to them. What's Lucas said about social media?
There's not much activity.
Okay. So I think we need to put 202 in the apps, up for review. We just need to get it in the system, because then we can tell people, we have a fix, we're waiting for Apple.
Essentially.
Well, I caution that we're not 100% sure it fixes it. We just
Well,
need to be aware of that.
we believe we have a
It definitely
fix.
fixes the YouTube. We believe we have one, but
Eh.
I'm not 100% sure.
Right, but YouTube is a big feature that we have promoted, and for it not to work.
Agreed. Agreed. I just wanna set your expectations here around that crash, that I'm not 100% sure it's fixed, because we never found it.
Yeah, and the guys who found it, the workaround fixed it so they can't reproduce it. So it's a very strange crash. In QA, we've even testing the alpha and beta versions, we didn't run into any crash at that specific part. Other areas around it, but not that part.
Okay.
So we don't know what's going on.
So what do we think we need to do? Put the 102 up in the App Store,
Yeah, as soon as possible.
and we've got the workaround online.
There's pretty much we can do is just try to go around and help people who have the issue with the workaround and tell them that we are working on a fix and it's going through Apple right now. Nothing else we can do until then.
Okay, because I agree, I mean, we can ask for an expedited review, but the likelihood of that happening in 3 hours is tenuous to say the least.
I mean, might as well do it just to see what happens. So.
Yeah, I think the fact that we don't have a high number of users in Apple, Apple's perspective. How many people are downloading it a day? A few hundred?
I think the numbers this morning was 1,300 something total downloads.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but it's worth to do as much as we can to get it to Apple as soon as we can and as fast as we can.
Well, yeah, the only downside to that is we don't want to use that, press that big red button if we don't think it's going to help.
Yeah.
And I think Bob's absolutely right. We've got 3 hours. We're kind of kidding ourselves. They'll even look at the queue in that point. So I'm with Bob. We just get in the queue and we try and get through this and we learn a lesson about the App Store.
And can we, is it on test flight? So can 102 be on test flight? So if somebody,
It's on test flight right now.
so if somebody has.
No, hold on. So I will set it to, because I have to ask for it to be available externally.
Okay,
And the first time I did that had to be reviewed by a human. The second time it didn't. So I can just flip that switch and see what happens. And it'll either get approved immediately or not.
because if it's available on test flight, if we have people, we can point them to that version to see if they can test it,
Yeah.
to see if,
It fixes it
for those 50% who don't, where the workaround doesn't fix it, then we could go.
And I can send out the email to everybody on the public beta list and say, if you run into this, there's a 102 on test flight if you want to test it.
Because it's looking solid with our testing, but again, we can only do as much as we can because we can't reproduce that crash.
Yeah,
So
and there's probably some weird combination of
that's what we're.
YouTube account and us and somehow and the phone and the OS and,
And the network.
yeah.
Yeah, we
too
have a
many
combination
variables.
of mixed match accounts and everything like that. We've tested with everything seems to trigger it all correctly. So
Do we wanna go to our beta testers and ask them if anybody could there be someone on the beta test program that has experienced this?
Sure. I mean, I don't know that we've matched that up yet.
Do we know, we keep track of who's on the beta program in Salesforce, right? So Sandy could run a report that says anybody who had the,
In iTunes Connect, there's a list of.
There's a list on iTunes Connect, and I get it from Alexis.
but it would be worth.
And I think is she connected with Salesforce?
I'm just thinking if Sandy could run a report and say, anybody who was on the beta, who reported an issue, that's gonna be the most helpful person.
Especially if they're still stuck in that state, does this new build help you? That'd be the most information we need right now is, does this help them? Because that's the only question really that's still lingering.
Yeah, okay. So everybody's able, you guys are all streaming?
Just checking the chat.
Checking this chat.
Yeah, it was really, once the internet came, because across the side, we're still moving and the internet comes in and out.
It does over here too.
Yeah, so we're like, all right, we have a work key. No. So when we got it working, it's been working good.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna notify, once it's through, let me know,
Once it's available publicly on test flight,
and then I'll send it.
Well, these guys are going to bless it first. Once they've blessed it, I will put it into review, and then I will click the external test flight beta button.
And do you just wanna
I'll let you know.
Slack me or something on that?
Yeah.
And then I'll send out an email to the same group that I've been communicating with from the iTunes Connect list.
How we looking?
And that'll cover a lot of people, I think.
But that group only helps us if there's somebody who is in the state that can't get out of it, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's what the
And-
shot.
Yeah, we never had any reports during the beta process of this issue.
No.
Right, we had very few testers though, actually. We had a pretty low uptake in
People actually did something with it.
installing. One guy came back after I sent out the public release notification, he wanted a free $5.99 app, and I said, he says, I have the beta. I said, it says you haven't installed it yet.
Nice,
So please send me whatever feedback you sent us. And he hasn't.
good.
Give me free stuff, Tom.
Yeah, I want some free stuff.
Okay, I will wait for
The okay
QA
from here.
to bless it.
And I will,
And guys, just make sure you switch YouTube accounts a lot.
Yeah.
I think we test between
Sign in and
4.
sign out of different accounts, please, over and over.
Okay. We can run that specifically some more if you want when we get back to our
I'm gonna
desk, and
ask Sandy
then
to
go
see
ahead
if
and
any
bless
of
it.
those beta testers.
So generally we switch between
Okay.
4 or 5 different accounts, depending on what we're testing. And they're all set up a little bit differently.
Okay. Alright, let me know.
Yep.
and then let me know.
And
Then we
I'll
can
let
all
you
go
know.
home. Yeah, so on the 6th, I'll sign up to a few different accounts to see how it looks again, and then depending on what you say with this one, we can give it our blessings in.
I signed in and out of 3 on this device.
Yeah, everything's looking good.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys can do that, yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll be done. By the time we get over there, we'll check it out. By 2 o'clock. I mean, if we were to go through
I have a meeting at 2 o'clock.
155. Actually, it's on Slack, so we'll see if it's any.
Lynn, you got the Wizard World call, and you can make it. I have, at 2 o'clock, I have some Wirecast Go stuff to do, for maybe 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
But I'll let you know. I had one talk with 2 of those guys, actually. One was, Dave, and then the other guy was,
Oh, for that, maybe I will see.
Dave and Chris.
Okay,
And then you've looked at the website?
no, I haven't. Yeah.
You looked at the website, what do you know about?
I have nothing to say, so
Alright,
I'll open it back up.
and Alexis, the Wirecast Go public beta list, is that in any way get into Salesforce? Have you?
Let me see if we, I don't think we pushed any of it because we don't have a field in Salesforce for where it has to go yet.
Yeah.
And then it'll reconcile.
And then make sure Sandy knows that.